Well, this isn't the biggest show of the year, but it's the only one with 3 keynote speeches. This first Windows World is dedicated to those of you who've supported Windows since its introduction back in 1983. I had an opportunity to go out on the show floor last night and look around at some of the new things that are going on. And it was fun to have developers come up to me and talk to me about their applications. Several of them described things they're doing with Windows that I wouldn't have even imagined would be possible. And a number of them talked about the great sales that they're having of their applications. It all reminded me of building the DOS architecture 10 years ago. DOS was an incredible undertaking. The goal was to make PCs useful for all kinds of work. We had the advantage of the breakthrough technology represented by Intel's microprocessors. But that power wasn't going to establish the PC as a useful tool. We knew we needed thousands and thousands of applications. And the only way that we saw that could happen was to get virtually all the makers of computers to build compatible machines. That way, we could support the software undertaking to make these PCs worthwhile. Well, this started in the early 1980s, and year by year, as we got more and more applications and the variety of machines grew, the phenomena took on a life of its own. People building great price performance machines, portable machines, fast machines, and we started to see PCs used in an immense variety of places, on the factory floor, on an oil rig, at the point of sale, and even in very complex, mission-critical applications. Several years ago, though, we started to see that the DOS interface was inadequate to address the advances that were taking place in hardware technology. And fortunately, we had been working for an 8-year period to build Windows as a new foundation. And just a year ago, with the introduction of Windows version 3, we brought Windows into the mainstream. The results of the last year have gone way beyond our expectations. Windows has become something that has permanently changed PCs as we know them. In fact, during the last 12 months, we sold over 4 million copies of Microsoft Windows. This is unprecedented. No software package has ever sold so well in its first year. In fact, the only software package that's ever sold at this rate is our own MS-DOS product. This lays the foundation for an incredible number of software companies to focus their attention in on the Windows environment. Now, one of the things that was very crucial to the success of Windows was the move towards the 386 processor, particularly Intel's efforts to bring the price down to make it a low-cost desktop-based machine. And as a result of that, we've seen the sales of 386 processors go up dramatically. This has really been a key thing because it gives you the speed and memory flexibility to run these rich Windows applications, particularly in multiple application scenarios. Now Intel's moving on to provide the 486 at a low-cost level. And that's something we applaud because computer performance is something you can never get enough of. In fact, we're working with Intel to design the generation that comes after the 486. We've also been encouraging system manufacturers to include Windows in with their system. What this means is that when you buy the computer, you simply turn it on and you're immediately right there in the Windows environment. It saves you all the complexity of going through the setup process. And it's encouraging to us to see that the vendors like Zenith or AST and Dell who've been including Windows with their systems are those who've experienced the greatest market share gains over the last year. This is a trend we will continue to encourage because we think it does a lot for users to think of the system all coming together in a single piece. Now, Microsoft has been doing a lot of things to gather data about how people are working with Windows and how we should change it as we move forward. Part of this was a study we did of thousands of users early this year to find out what users liked about Windows. Ease of use came out on top. People consistently cited the lower training costs and the consistent user interface. It was interesting to us to find that a number of Windows users are continuing to use DOS applications, and so running multiple applications came second. Some users are even running exclusively DOS applications with Windows operating just as a switcher. But as we looked at the data, we saw that the longer that somebody had owned Windows, the more likely they were to have switched their applications either to be partially Windows-based or entirely Windows-based. Other key features that came out were the graphical interface and the powerful integration. I think over the next several years, you'll see integration rise to the top of this list because it's so critical to providing the powerful applications that really change the way that people work. Finally, of course, memory management came in as a key feature for all the people who had been frustrated by the 640K barrier. Another source of data from Microsoft on Windows usage is the immense number of support calls that we receive. In fact, we were overwhelmed with these calls when Windows first went out. And we've been doing everything we can to increase the number of people answering these calls. We've been able to double this group over the last year, and we're going to double it again as quickly as we can. We want to get these wait times down to less than a minute to be able to answer the phone call, and some of you know that we're not achieving that right now. The key problem that the most important problem that we've logged into our database as we take all these calls are the issues having to do with setup and memory management. And virtually all of these are avoidable, either by having the software auto-detect more things, understand more configurations, or by having even better documentation than we have today. Another key area of questions has been in the area of printing. And here, by improving the device drivers and providing more variety, we'll be able to simplify these issues very significantly. A rising category of interest is in the area of networking. The majority of Windows users are sitting on networking-based systems, and that's very different than your average PC user. And so there's been close coordination with us and the networking providers, including our own LAN manager group, to make sure that the software comes together the right way to make Windows a great networking product. It's our belief that by taking these actions, and with the next significant release of Windows, we'll be able to reduce the number of phone calls that each copy generates by a factor of 2. It's a very ambitious goal, but by using this data and getting very direct feedback from all of you, I think it's very achievable. Looking now at applications development, it's interesting to see how the sales of graphical software have progressed during 1990. The best group that tracks this is the SPA, or the Software Publishers Association. Virtually every PC software developer reports their unit volume and dollar volume to this group, and then they put it together in a comprehensive report on a monthly basis. And what we see is that in the second half of 1990, Windows grew by a factor of 3. In fact, it became, during 1990, the best-selling graphical environment. Over $400 million of Windows applications were sold. And this is without many of the larger software companies having their Windows applications available. I think as those applications come out, we'll see the sales of Windows applications more than double. A good leading indicator of what's going on in software development is to look at who's buying tools and what are they doing with them. Now, our key tool to date has been our Windows software development kit. And it's also stunning to us that we've sold over 50,000 copies of that software development kit. It requires a very serious developer who not only is willing to learn C programming, but also getting down to the event level and creating different Windows classes. We think that all the people who bought this kit are working on very exciting applications, and that these numbers even understate the amount of Windows development going on, because recently we've seen a number of really excellent tools that don't require you to buy the Windows software development kit. Now, it's very difficult to single out particular innovative applications under Windows because there are so many. But I thought I'd just mention a few to give you a sense of the new ideas that are being put forward. In the graphics area, I picked the Upfront product that comes from Alias Research. This is a product where you enter in a three-dimensional description of a house or a building that you're proposing to build, and then you let the designer or the customer actually walk through it and see what that's going to be like. It's really an incredible tool for making sure that the design is exactly right. Another advanced product is the Mathematica package from Wolfram. Not only is it a breakthrough in terms of the way it does symbolic mathematics and let you view data, but it's also one of the first applications to use the 32-bit memory capabilities that we call WinMem32 that are built into Windows 3.0. Another area of exciting activity is client-server computing. So many new ways are being developed to let people see information coming out of large machines. And one of these is the Forest and Trees product from Channel Computing. It lets you very easily, with a few days' work, take information from any number of sources, including local Windows applications, as well as remote databases, and pull those together in a very graphical way. You can even have little alerts that come up to tell you when data values are out of line. In the area of databases, one of the most important technologies for the next few years will be object-oriented databases. And so we're very proud to have Object Design, a leader in this field, showing here at this show their Object Store product that brings this capability to the Windows environment. A final category is the area of tools. And here's where I had the toughest time picking any particular products because there are so many good ones that have been done. Two that I thought that were particularly noteworthy are the Digitalk Look and Feel Kit and the Blue Sky Windows Maker product. Both of these do a great job of letting you design what you want the application to look like right there on the screen. And you can even preview it for the user without going through a compilation process. Then attaching the code to these visual elements is very straightforward, so you don't have to think of funny symbol names. You can make direct associations and build your application right there. The productivity of Windows application over the next year is going to be dramatically higher than it has been during the last year. Even more important, perhaps, though, is the way that customers are using Windows. Let's take a look at some examples. A group at McDonnell Douglas is using Windows to help build America's space station.
We need the kinds of tools that the Windows environment provides. The astronauts need the kinds of tools. Astronaut interface with this is essential to the assembly of this vehicle. We all have to know what it is that this device is supposed to do so that we don't perturbate that astronaut. He's got to be a happy camper. She's got to be a happy camper. Windows is so simple to use that the folks pick it up within an 8 to 16-hour period. That allows us the economy of the computer and allows folks to use a tool that is necessary in this day and age.
With the Windows pull-down menus, you can get going without reading the manual. You really can get going fast.
The process is super simple in that all you have to do is cut and paste.
And now it's a cut and paste. It's a snap now.
I intend to see that our major manufacturers of product are also tied into this same link. That way we have real-time design going on, and we all will benefit from that, not only in a cost function, but from an exchange of information function. I mailed this to the suppliers, the manufacturers of product, and we can then do engineering work, okay, over the telephone, working off the screens on our computers, okay, as opposed to trying to read the same piece of paper. It's much quicker and it's much more accurate. Accuracy counts in a program of this nature.
Like I said, I don't have to worry about being a programmer. I can be a user instead, and that makes life a lot simpler.
It's easy to use, user-friendly. It just does so many things that we need to use it for around here.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. The graphics ability allows us to communicate quickly and succinctly. If it works, I love it. Windows works.
I thought it would be interesting to ask Steve Stock from McDonnell Douglas to come here to Atlanta to show us how he's used Windows.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, Steve.
It's good to see you.
So this is the specification right here.
This is it. There are about 10 more just like it that we're producing for product that will be used to build a space station.
Wow, it's pretty complex.
It's a very long document.
And what part is this for?
That particular specification is for an astronaut connector. This device is used to hook all of the electrical signals and functions on space station. Okay, when the astronaut comes through, he now has a hooked up connector and he's ready to go. His life support systems work, his communication systems work, and he's a happy man.
So this needs to be pretty reliable.
Absolutely reliable.
Let's take a look at the document here.
All right. What we have here as we come up on this are the force vectors that we're using to describe to the folks that need to know how much force an astronaut will have to put at any one position on the lever on that device. And that's so that we can control the amount of energy that an astronaut expends during a suited environment. The suit itself is like wearing a machine. And once you've locked up in that thing, it's you get pretty tired pretty fast. So we take care of these kinds of things to make sure, again, that the astronaut accomplishes the task when needed. That particular connector allows a free float suited astronaut in a zero-G environment to mate a set of connectors in 4 seconds or less.
And how did these drawings actually get into the document?
Well, we create the drawing in a small CAD package called Design CAD. We convert it to an HPGL file, and we port it directly into Word for Windows. And it comes so smoothly, it just hasn't been a problem.
How about training the people to work with this?
Well, as you probably know, some engineers, as they get older, okay, have a little trouble adapting. They get set in their ways. If it hadn't been for Windows, I don't think we'd have got some of the fellows to come across to the computer base at all. I don't think we'd have got some of the fellows to come across to the computer base at all. And as you saw in the video, why they're saying the thing that is true. Windows is real easy to use.
That's great. When will the space station get off the ground?
Well, we're looking to first launch in '95, bar an axe of God and a creek don't rise.
Fantastic. One of the incredible things about Windows is the way that the applications can be customized to a particular application. Otis Elevator, the leader in its field, is using Windows to help manage its business.
I always wanted to have an executive information system that was very easy to use and that essentially could be available all the time and with just a few clicks without wasting a lot of time of anybody.
When you're developing executive information systems, you end up redeveloping them. In other words, the executives see them and they want changes to them. And those are most of the development time. The time to develop an application in Windows is really relatively short, especially if you're using the integration of existing products.
My job entails to do a lot of consolidations, coming up with a 10-year business plan, and by being enable me to do hot linking with a lot of 9 different spreadsheets. It's very fast and it's very easy to use, and it allows me to do more analytical work rather than just a mechanical work.
The system is designed so that an executive, a financial director, can bring up a sheet on his screen that looks like a report. So he can then select areas, or an analyst can select areas of it, cut and paste, make charts instantly, do anything he wants with the data, so that he has full control over the information.
I like it a lot for the speed, the flexibility, and the integration between the different software applications that it allows. You can import, export the data from one application to the other. For that it's great because we save a lot of time.
It's made my job a lot easier. I can open one package and put it down at the bottom. I can be working with several different things at the same time, which I like a lot.
A couple of clicks on my mouse and I pulled it out. Or how much money did we make in France last year? I can pull that out in a few seconds while not wasting any time to get in and out of applications.
They take to it very, very rapidly. And I've never seen an executive who tried who couldn't learn it very, very fast.
It's marvelous. It's a very big productivity gain, and plus, frankly, it's fun to use. It's easy and fun. We use Windows as the system.
Jean Mordeau, the Chief Financial Officer of Otis, is here to show us his application.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, Jean. Now, how did people get at this information before you had this?
Well, before we had this, we had tons of paper. We had to request an analyst to go and produce a report. He had to stop what he was doing and get the mini computer to produce it. And then we had piles and piles of report. Now we have this instead.
And is the data up on a network now so lots of people can get at it?
Yes, the data comes from all over the world. We have more than 100 subsidiaries in more than 40 countries that report into a PC. It's an old PC-based application, and then from the PC package called the MRS, it's dumped into this application, into Excel. And then we have this executive information system, which has been written custom in Windows to allow us easy access to the data.
Let's take a look at that.
What you're seeing now on the screen is the executive interface. It's kind of very simple with big, colorful buttons. The analyst interface is in the lower left corner. I'll show it to you at the end. For the executive, we make things very simple. Let me show you, and there are several ways to get to the data. For example, if I click on World View, I get a summary that shows me that there are 5 dots. Each dot to represent an area of the world, and I have right now a focus on total sales. So I can see, for example, that Europe up there is favorable, Latin America is favorable, North America it's pretty much on plan, and this is the whole world, and the whole world we are about 5% above plan. I can look at some other variable. For example, let me look at profit, which is always important. I find that North American operation is the only operation here that's below plan. By clicking on this, I get by how much, and if I want more information, I get a spreadsheet. Now this is a straight standard Excel spreadsheet, completely operational. I can go through it and look at what part of my P&L is causing me problems. Let me go back here to the menu and show a chart. We have a bunch of charts here. Let me just take, for example, new equipment orders. I have a chart like this which shows me the history, and we have a whole catalog of 574 charts which are printed every month automatically on a hard copy and published as a book. And it's a completely graphic management information system, management report, which is all done from Windows. And let me show you one last thing here, which is if I click on this, we are switching now from the senior executive level to the analyst level. It looks more like a standard Excel spreadsheet, except it has the CFO thing, which allows me access to a whole menu of reports. And here you see I have many more reports than the executive. For the executive, we just limited the number, but the analyst, the executive too, by the way, I mean, can access this. Let me show you, for example, here we have a whole bunch of companies around the world. I can access, for example, Europe. Under the entities, I have a whole bunch of entities. Let me just load the consolidated Europe. I can choose the currency, either local currency or planned dollars, and I can choose the period, which is the latest month. And then I have a whole bunch of reports here which I can select, for example, orders, and see how the orders are doing in Europe. And I have a detailed report that shows me all of my categories of orders. And the big advantage of doing it like this, I can return to the last menu and choose another one. The big advantage of doing it like this is all the data is available to the executive who just wants to look at it, or he can print it by selecting this. But it's also available to the analyst to work with directly, and he can actually work with a spreadsheet. It's a normal spreadsheet. He can cut, paste, delete, add part of it to a memo. That's pretty much it.
Now, have you had good luck getting managers to use this?
Yes, we have about 20, 25 executives and probably another 20 or 25 managers, plus, of course, all the analysts and accountants are using that too.
And how easy was this to develop?
Well, the executive interface took only a weekend, but the analyst system, which is the backbone of it, probably took probably about a year from conception to final product.
Well, that's a very impressive system. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Providing the best customer service is a key issue for the 90s. Windows has a role to play here. Fidelity Investments, the world's largest manager of mutual funds, was one of the first to recognize this opportunity.
We have Windows in front of about 500 phone reps today that service our mutual fund, our brokerage, and our retirement plan customers.
Fidelity is the premier provider of record-keeping services for 401k retirement plans. With the Windows interface, we can, in one screen, provide a concise and consistent method of displaying data for the customer service rep.
Pull up a customer window and we're able to access all the information about the customer, their address, what type of accounts they hold. Yes, we do have an investor center in Sarasota, Florida. Are you very familiar with Sarasota?
We chose Windows because we feel the right way to build a friendly application for our customer service reps is to really insulate them from the complexity of the mainframe.
It's a lot easier to get to the information when people ask you those questions that aren't right along the beaten path.
Pretty much all the workstation development was done in-house. We started our development process early in 1987 and through 1988. Workstation development is a highly interactive development environment focusing on the presentation layer of the system, unlike the mainframe, which focuses on the back-end processing. In the Windows environment, we're able to work with the user and interactively give them quick results so they have a feeling of getting something in a timely fashion. When a customer calls in, they have the information at their fingertips, regardless if it's customer account information, sending out a new perspective, customer history information, looking up product information or legal information. It is literally at their fingertips, a point and click away.
The power of Windows is that it does have this dynamic data exchange, or DDE, which allows us to really build systems that move data back and forth without having to get down to low-level programming.
Our applications are highly customized and need to be optimized for transaction performance.
It's much better to be able to build several windows to access your information versus having to go into several different systems to get the same information. And it is fun and it's much more user-friendly.
I believe the biggest change we see is in the quality of service that we provide to our customers. Our objective was not to come in and cut the number of reps we had or find some other such efficiency. Again, the real benefit we see is information, and we believe we've really improved the quality of the answers that we give to our clients.
Jim Stoddard and Eileen Guerin are here to show us their application. Hey,
Yes,
Jim.
hi, Bill.
Hi, Eileen. Hi, Bill. So is this application actually in use right now?
Yes, it is. This and 4 other applications are in front of our phone reps. We have 500 phone reps who are using Windows as their primary interface to their system.
And this is a very mission-critical application for you.
Our most mission-critical application. We receive over 100,000 phone calls a day, and this is how we get information through our customer service reps to our clients.
And have you seen the quality go up as you've deployed the system?
We've seen it go up dramatically. The biggest benefit we've received is some tremendous help in the training area. Some of the mainframe systems we've used for years have been very cryptic. They're very difficult to understand. We can have a rep up to speed much quicker because we can describe the application much more completely under Windows.
Well, Microsoft recently moved its 401k plan over to Fidelity, so I'm interested to take a look.
Well, if you can remember
see how this works.
If you can remember your Social Security number, we'll turn it over to Eileen. And Eileen will help you make some real money.
Okay, Bill, all we need to do to start to look at your account is to put in your Social Security number, which I happen to know. Oops. And we have an additional verification criteria here. Your personal ID number, I see, is very timely. And from here, we get your account information. Now, I can see from your balances here that you're pretty heavily loaded in stock funds.
Well, I think it's time to be a little more conservative. Let's say I'm calling you up and I want you to move part of my money, let's say 25%, into one of your money funds.
We can certainly do that. I'll process a 25% exchange out of your Fidelity Magellan Fund into the Fidelity Cash Reserves Fund. Have you read the prospectus? Of course you have.
Now, this is actually the session that the operator would go through if somebody was on the phone with them.
Absolutely. This is the system that the telephone representatives use when you call in to get any information about your 401k account. What we can do now is confirm this exchange. I'm confirming that I'm transferring 25% of your money from the Magellan Fund to Cash Reserves. I'll put in a daytime phone for you, and we'll update that. And your transaction's been successfully updated.
Well, that's very impressive. Are you building other applications on Windows?
We are, Bill. There are about 2,000 phone positions in the company with customer service reps at them, and we expect that within 18 months, every one of them will be running through Windows for all of their applications.
Well, that's super. It looks like we made a good decision. Fantastic.
Thank you, Bill.
there's a lot of things in store in the future for Windows. Windows, as we've seen, can be used in mission-critical applications, but it also is being used by small business in some very innovative ways. And you'll see Microsoft doing some new things to get the message out about how Windows can be used by such a variety of users. One of these starts in June, and it's what we call Windows Discovery Days. It'll visit 24 cities, and it's sponsored by AT&T, Tandy, Intel, and IBM, along with 15 software companies. And here people will be able to come in and see the great applications being developed with Windows. An area of special interest for us is letting people who are disabled have access to computing. And this is particularly important in the Windows environment. And we've worked together with a group called Trace R&D, who specializes in this, to pull together special device drivers. These device drivers are available in our supplemental driver kit, and they allow someone who can't work with the mouse or can't work with multiple keys on the keyboard at the same time to still, by installing these drivers, have full access to the power of Windows. It's very exciting, and I encourage you to take a look at this down at the booth called Minds in Motion down on the floor. The next milestone for us is our end-of-the-year release of Windows 3.1. And we have a lot of important goals for this product. First and foremost, we're going to take all that feedback we've gotten and factor it into literally thousands of improvements in every different area of the product. This is also the release where our approach, which we call open tools, providing every hook that developers have asked us for so they can build great tools on top of Windows, will be fully implemented. And we're already starting to see the benefit of that with the tools that people are writing and are already working on using 3.1. 3.1 is also where the font technology that we work together with Apple on, called TrueType, will be built into the system. Fonts are very confusing today because not only do you have to think about the various sizes that you want to install, but you have to be aware of which devices can accept which fonts. And this TrueType technology eliminates those issues. It's what's called outline scalable fonts that work across all the different devices at different sizes. A key thrust for Microsoft in the years ahead is taking so-called object orientation and building it into all parts of the operating system. Now, this will provide for a level of integration even beyond what we have today. So object linking and embedding, or OLE, which is our shorthand for this capability, will be enhanced quite a bit in Windows 3.1. In particular, all of the built-in applications, such as Paint and Write, will have the OLE facility built into them. And then, of course, there's a lot of things we'll be doing to significantly improve the performance and various usability aspects of the product. Now, we're not totally done, so our PR department didn't really want me to show it, but there's a couple features I just couldn't resist having you take a look at. Well, here it is. I'm sitting here in Windows Write at this moment, and you can see I've got a document with a nice little heading there. Now, in the past, you could have altered that by going back to the application you created it in, knowing what the file name is, loading it up, doing your work, and using cut and paste to bring that up to date. But with the power of this object linking, all I have to do is point to the thing I want to change and click twice. And Windows can see from that object what application created it, and it automatically brings us up right in that application. In this case, that's the Paintbrush application. You can see right in the heading it says Embedded Object. Now that I'm in here, I can take and change this in any way that I please. Put a little red paint in there. And then when I exit Paintbrush, I get a message asking me if I should update the embedded object. I'll say yes, and then we'll see that document is changed right away. This works for objects of all type, and in fact, it's the key way that people will build voice messages into their documents, or put in animations, or put in specialized things that people want to add into applications. In the case of the word processor, something like a mathematic formula handling package can hook in this way and be almost seamlessly integrated into the word processor itself. This will create immense opportunities for innovative software companies to either provide new features or niche features that the mainline application doesn't ship with. Well, in this document, I'm not using a true type font right now. So if I go in and change the size of this font to be something fairly big, you can see that it doesn't look quite right. In fact, let me make it even bigger. So it's a very jaggy looking font, and if you print it out on that printer, it wouldn't be too good. Well, all I have to do to make this look good is choose one of the new fonts, True Type font, and you can see that at any size, this looks great. In fact, I can take that text and blow it up to some unusual size, like let's say 59 points, and immediately we go in and build those characters. And so all the work you've had to do to fool around with fonts in the past is completely eliminated. Another fun thing about Windows 3.1 is how it enables you to do better things with tools. This morning we announced our Visual Basic product, and one of the things I like about this is it makes it possible for me, even with my limited time, to do fun Windows programming. I wrote a little application here. It's a little calendar application that lets you move around and see different dates. But right now, let's add a couple of neat little features to that. The way to do that is to take this form, which is the user interface, just go over and click on a button and go and drag that down here. And now all I have to do to change the name of that is type in a little bit of text. Let's also create another button, so I'll click there again and then just put this right here on the form. And I'll call that Plan B. Now in the past, pulling together a nice looking form like this in the code was quite complex. But in this tool, all I do is double click on the button and I get up a little window that lets me type in some simple code that will be executed when you click on that button. I'm using a macro to type that in so I don't make a typing mistake. Okay, there we have a nice little thing we call Plan A. Let's close that down and put some code behind this. And in this case, we'll also change some of the calendar display when this button is clicked on. Now all we have to do to test out that code and see if it works is to give the run command, and it's compiled up very, very quickly, and here we can see the application is running. If we want to move forward month by month, we just click here, or move back, or move forward a year at a time, or move back a year at a time, or move it back to today's date. So that's pretty simple stuff. These new little buttons I've added, though, give us a really unique feature. Right now, the holidays and weekends are displayed in a nice gray color, like we see Memorial Day right there. If you want to have a really hard work schedule, you just click on this Plan A button, and immediately all the weekends and even the holidays are turned into work days. And if you really, really fall behind, you click here on Plan B, and somehow we've added these unusual days. It should let software developers get more stuff done. Well, I'm real excited about Windows 3.1. How do you think it looks? Of course, that's not the only thing we're doing to improve Windows and extend its reach. There's a number of other exciting things, including what we're doing in the area of PEM Windows. We're actually showing this down on the floor, and I think you'll find that it's really a change in how you think of computers. You can take a computer anywhere, into a meeting, out into the field, and you get the immediacy of writing right there on the screen. If you cross something out, it's deleted. If you scribble in some handwriting, it can either be preserved as an annotation or it can be recognized and converted into text. We have over 20 hardware manufacturers who will be shipping machines sometime early next year that work on this basis. And I don't think they'll be much more expensive than the portable machines that we're seeing today. We also can run all of today's Windows applications, and they're even enabled to support gestures and handwriting input. We also allow developers who want to build applications that require the pen and are what we call pen-centric to be written in this pen Windows environment. I think it's going to lead to lots more PCs being used in ways that they hadn't before. Another area of expansion is into this area of multimedia. This means supporting sound. It means supporting animations. It also means supporting software that's shipped on a compact disk with its over 500 megabyte capacity. This is the type of media that we need in order to ship directories or training manuals or professional guides or encyclopedias in a single low-cost software item. And we've been working with hardware vendors and software vendors for a lot of years now to build the foundation for this advance. A leader in this has been Tandy Corporation, who just last week announced a whole line of multimedia PCs, including using the special logo that the Multimedia PC Council created to identify machines that follow our multimedia specification. All of these machines are down on the floor being used to demonstrate advanced multimedia applications. The key thing in this arena are the applications that not only software developers but also publishing companies are starting to build. These are quite different than the applications we've seen to date. And as hundreds and hundreds of those are developed, the features of the multimedia PC will move in and become mainstream features of all desktop PCs. We've also been doing some work on the kernel portion of the Windows product. We've been rewriting it to be full 32-bit. This means that none of the 16-bit history is built into this system. It's a very secure and high-efficiency system that preserves compatibility with all of today's applications. So we have multi-threading, we have the ability to support multiple processors, which would be particularly useful on a server, but eventually might be handy on the desktop as well. We add advanced security features, and we also, for the first time, allow Windows to move on to different architectures. And although we don't expect these machines to comprise a large amount of volume in the years ahead of us, we think there are important ways that customers may want to use RISC machines. And being able to leverage their development onto those machines just makes it that much easier to work in the Windows environment. Our strategy for Windows is a very comprehensive one. It's to take ranging from the low-end machine at the notebook up to the super server to cover all of those things. And all the Windows applications run across this entire family. Well, what's the reason that we're doing all this? Well, last fall, in my Comdex keynote, I enunciated our vision for the 1990s. And that's this idea of the personal computer becoming the information appliance, allowing for information at your fingertips. This is going to be a very challenging vision to achieve, and it's going to require the entire industry working together, working to build integrated applications, working to integrate networking pieces together, allowing access to existing databases, and making it easy to automate business-specific procedures. In the last year, we've made immense progress towards this vision, and we're very excited about the challenges ahead. Thank you.